Hey y'all, so it's me, AJ. Hi Tink. Featuring Legend. He's probably gonna be in this video a lot. This video I decided to make because a lot of people were asking me military related questions, people that wanted to join the military or just had questions for somebody else to ask me about joining the military. Hey Tink. 1 second. Go get your toys. Go get your toys. Okay, so this is gonna be a series of videos. I don't think anybody would want to watch. Anybody would want to watch like a freaking like hour-long video. So I'm gonna try to break them up into certain like groups with the questions and answers. So this first part would be what to ask your recruiter kind of thing. So I can't speak for every branch. I can only speak for the branch that I belong to. I did almost join the Navy. So part of my early recruiting and encounters were with Navy people. And then I ended up not joining the Navy and joining the Army, but that's a whole nother story. If you want to hear that story, just comment below that you want to hear why I switched branches at the last minute. So the first question that you should probably ask your recruiter is, do you have any incentives to join? So a lot of people don't know. Well, a lot of people do know, but then expect it out of certain MOSs. But the Army does give bonuses for certain jobs that you pick in the Army. Usually ones that are under strength or like, I don't know. Sometimes they take one MOS and make it to 2. That rarely happens, but sometimes they do, or they have like some initiative they're trying to push during that fiscal year, and then they'll give you a bonus for picking that job. So I got a bonus with my job. I honestly think it had to do with the timing of when I actually joined though, because usually like with my job, I'm a human resource specialist, you don't get a bonus for it usually, but because I joined so close to when the fiscal year starts. Fiscal year is like when the money starts over for the military. We don't go off with just 2018, 2019. It actually restarts like at the end of the year, October time frame. So I joined around October. I believe I signed my contract in like August or September, and I shipped off October 15th. So I got like a little small bonus, but always ask that if they know any MOSs that offer bonuses at the time. Now I will say you should not sway your decision onto what MOS to go to if they only have a bonus. Like I would say have a couple of jobs you want to pick, and then from those jobs see if they have bonuses. But if you just go into a job just because they had the biggest bonus and you actually don't want to do that job, you are going to be miserable. Trust me. It's just like any job you pick. Like you want to have a job when you're a teenager. You don't want to work in fast food, but that's the only thing you can pick. So you're there like miserable every single day. But you're making money, but you're still miserable because that's the only job you picked. Something like that. So what is the Future Soldier Program? So in the Army, when you go to MEPS and you pick a job, you'll go back to your recruiting station and they'll put you in the Future Soldier Program. So that's just like they're kind of prepping you to go to basic training. I know at my recruiting station we did like PT. We did it maybe like twice a week. And then they had us do, every time we came in the office, we did like the Soldier's Creed and then the Army song. Those are like the basic stuff that you need to know when you go to basic training. I mean, they're going to teach it to you there, but it's kind of like a prep before you get there so you're not completely behind the learning curve. That's what the Future Soldier Program is. What's the balance between classroom and physical training? So, in basic training, we had a lot of hands-on training when we had to learn like battle drills and all that stuff. But a lot of the stuff we did sit in the classroom. It pretty much was death by PowerPoint because we had to wake up so early. Everybody's not used to waking up that early. I know I wasn't used to waking up that early, having to be showered, dressed, have your hair fixed to Army standards, and then you got to go eat. After you eat, then you go to classroom or learning mode, depending on what you were doing that day. I don't want to say it's 50-50. I want to say it's maybe 75-25 what I experienced, but I went to basic training in 2015. So I don't know if it's different now. It might be because they're trying to change a little bit of the curriculum. And I know they're changing the physical standards for the APFT soon. So they might be teaching that in basic training now too. But I'm not sure. But I want to say for me and my experience, it was about 75% hands-on learning stuff, and then 25% like classroom stuff. Because everything we did in the classroom, we practiced hands-on. Like even like going to the range, combatives, battle drills, not calling a 9-line medevac on the radios. We did the classroom portion, which was they gave you the basics to write down in your notebook, and then we actually performed it. So I feel like we performed a lot of tasks hands-on. At the end of our cycle, they made us test out on everything that we learned in basic training. So every skill we learned, whether it was first aid, whatever, we had to test on it. So we got in lanes, and some other drill sergeant that wasn't part of our unit graded us on it. So yeah, it was 75-25 for me. What percentage of people who actually start graduate? Okay, so when I went to basic training, we were separated into platoons. I believe our platoon started out with maybe 50 people. On that first day when we got there, like 10 people dropped out on the first day. So we were down from 50 to 40. And then throughout the cycle, like people were getting injured. Like I got injured. I was on crutches for a little while. And I want to say maybe 5 more people got out due to injury or something they couldn't fix during the basic training cycle. So we're already down 15 people. So out of our platoon, 15 people weren't there. Now, if you looked around at everybody else's platoon, we had the lowest numbers. I'm not sure if it was my drill sergeant or I don't know. But people seemed to like give up easily in our platoon, which was kind of weird because we pretty much all did the same things. All the platoons did the same things. We just had different drill sergeants. So maybe people were just like tired of, my drill sergeant shit, and they was just like, fuck it. I could come back later, or I don't want to do this. Another question. Can 2 friends go through basic at the same time? Yes. They have something called the buddy program. I didn't go through basic with anybody. But I know somebody that was actually there with their sibling, and I do know somebody that was there with their friend. They're in different platoons though. I think you have to sign up, like when you go to sign up, you say that you have a friend that wants to join and make sure they sign up with you type of thing. I really don't know how that process goes because I didn't do it. But I'm pretty sure if you ask a recruiter, they can probably give you the exact way to do it. Another question. Can an entrant choose the military job he or she wants? How is job assignment made? So, yes, you can pick the job you want. Now, keep in mind that your ASVAB scores, the test you take to get into the military, will determine what jobs you qualify for. So, it's just like taking the SAT or ACT in high school. Like, depending on what score you get, depending on what school will accept you. So, the ASVAB to me was pretty long, pretty boring. It's kind of like the SAT. But depending on the line scores you get from that test will determine what job you can get. So like if you scored high in medical, you'll most likely get a medical job. Well, you'll be qualified for a medical job. I won't say you won't get, because medical jobs are really hard to get. Because those MOSs are usually like packed because everybody wants a medical job because they know you know, is going to translate well when they get out, and they'll be working in like a hospital kind of setting. If you scored high in admin, you'll have a choice for an admin job. I have an admin job. I scored high in like admin and mechanical, which I don't know how I scored high in mechanical, because when I got to that section, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. It was just some of it's common sense, but some of it was like, I don't know what that tool is. I've never used it. So yeah, just make sure you practice your math and your reading comprehension for when you take the ASVAB, so you can get the highest scores possible, so then you'll have more options when it comes to jobs. People that score low usually end up in jobs that they don't want to do. Like, I know people that score low that end up like being like a cook or like transportation, and they don't necessarily want those jobs. Those aren't bad jobs to have if it's something you want to do. But if you just have to pick those jobs because you didn't score high, then you could have just retook the test, or you could have studied more or practiced more to make sure you got the job you wanted. I don't know if the light's doing something weird because the sun is like, I don't know, the sun's being weird. How often are service people promoted? So it all depends. Me, I've been in for a couple years and I have not yet to get promoted. Now, because I came in as an E4, I came in as an E4, I had to still sit in my actual rank for my time and grade, time and service. Now, time and grade, time and service is different for every rank you have. For E1, as long as you are in good standing for 6 months after you come in, you'll end up making your E2 kind of thing. So you only have time and grade, time and service is 6 months. For E2, E3, E4 is different. But because I came in as an E4, my time and service, time and grade started when I came in. So I had to wait my time and service and time and grade to go to the next rank, which I'm working on as we speak. Process should be done soon, hopefully, fingers crossed. What kind of training comes after basic training? So in the Army, you'll do basic training, which is the basics of everything. They'll teach you the basic battle drills. They'll get you conditioned for how the Army does physical training. You'll learn like customs and courtesies, all that stuff. You do all that in basic training. After basic training, you'll go to AIT, which is where you learn about your job. So my AIT and basic training was on the same post, Fort Jackson. So after I did basic training, we literally got in a van and went about 5 minutes down the road, and there was my AIT. So AIT means Advanced Individual Training. Sorry, I made a blank when that came into my mind. But your AIT. Sorry, my cart got full. I had to redo it. So like I said, it depends on which job you pick. I know I had a friend in basic training that picked like a computer related job. Her AIT was 6 months. So like, you know, I was 2 months, she was 6 months. So when I was at my duty station, she was still in AIT. So yeah, it all depends on which job you pick. How good are military job training schools? I can only speak for mine. I feel like in my AIT we learned maybe 15% of what we actually do in garrison. So garrison is, you know, home in the States, not deployed. Most of the systems we learned EMILPA, which is like the basic shit. But most of the systems we learned were for deployment, and I feel like we didn't have a lot of what goes on day-to-day kind of training. But you know, when you get to your unit, they'll train you up, you know, as to what you're gonna do. But I feel like that's what AIT was supposed to be for, especially with the length of time that we were in there. But I don't make AIT. How much does a new recruit get paid, and what are the benefits? So the pay scale for the military is the same. From E1 to whatever rank, it's all the same. Every branch has the same, gets paid the same amount. That's what I want to put in people's heads. Every branch gets paid the same amount. So E1 in the Air Force, an E1 in the Navy, E1 in the Army, all get paid the same. The only thing that's different is, like I said, if you have a bonus when you come in, or they give you extra incentives for certain jobs you pick, but you get paid based on your rank in every branch. So I have heard people say, oh, well, you should join the Air Force because they get paid more. No, they don't. They have essentially a better quality of life than we do when it comes to, like, you know, some of the bases, some of the places they get to choose to be stationed, some of the housing. Yeah, it's different than most Army bases, but they get paid the same amount of money. They literally get paid the same amount of money. And my dog is choking or something. Stop eating that. What are ways service members can earn college credits during enlistment? So you can use tuition assistance while you're in active duty. Now, tuition assistance, they pay for a certain amount every physical year. So you have to kind of plan out how you want to take your classes and how many you want to take at a time. So how many credits you can earn, it depends on which program you're choosing, of course, what school you go to and all that jazz. But you should be able to figure that out. Another one. Which option is the best for me? Active duty, Army Reserve, or ROTC? So, sorry, my allergies are fucking up me today. I'm active duty. I know some people that joined and did ROTC. So ROTC, you'll basically be going to college and you do Army as part of your curriculum, and then you do all the training that comes with it. So I think while you're in college, you go to basic training and all that stuff. Or you can do the Army Reserve, and they drill one weekend out of the month, and then for like a couple weeks in the summertime. To me, it all depends on what you want to get out the Army. So if you want to have like full benefits, you want to have some money going towards your retirement and all that stuff, it's probably better for a person that wants that type of stuff to do active duty. If you do reserve, you can get some of those benefits, but it's gonna be like a percentage of it because you're not actively being in the service every single day active duty. ROTC, I'm not sure what type of benefits they actually get. I would have to ask someone that did ROTC, but I'm pretty sure they have some of the same benefits. Like they do, you get to go on base, and then you have a freaking card that says you're in the military. You get benefits from that and all that stuff, but everything's different. And it also depends on how you want to retire. So I know when you're in like the Army National Guard, it takes longer for you to rack up. They do a point system. It takes longer for you to rack up those points to be able to retire. If you're in the Army, you know, you just do your 20 years and you're gone. ROTC is gonna eventually become an officer. So it all depends on what component they go into, whether they're active duty officer or reserve officer, and then it would be the same thing as a reserve enlisted or active duty enlisted person. What are the physical standards candidates have to meet? So they have height and weight scales for everybody in the Army. I'll see if I can find like a picture of like a general one and then try to post it beside me while I'm talking. But like they go by your height, your age, and your gender, and that tells you how much you're supposed to weigh. So if you look at those standards for whatever branch you're going to, you'll know how much you're supposed to weigh going in. Now keep in mind, like if you're going into basic training, you probably won't weigh what you're supposed to, but in basic training is designed to kick your ass. So most likely you'll get fit, you'll lose the weight you need to lose because you're on like a fixed diet. You know, you're working out when they want you to work out every day, so you'll most likely meet that goal. But I would say before you go into basic training, try to like at least condition yourself for running, push-ups, sit-ups, and you know, try to eat a little bit healthier than you normally eat, because if you don't, your body's going to be in total shock like the first couple of weeks, and you're going to be in a lot of pain. Other than that, you just go by, you know, your height, regular height and weight standards. What are training and drill sergeants like today? I can only go for like I said, I'm going off my experiences. My drill sergeant, I had 3. I started the cycle with 2, but I ended up with 3. I had 2 males and 1 female. I had one drill sergeant that was infantry. He was kind of like a hard ass. Like, he like was like, you know, you guys are wussies, you guys need to shape up, you're not gonna do, you know, in the infantry we did like this and that. So he was like kind of like hard on us the entire time. We had another drill sergeant that coincidentally I didn't find out until the end of the cycle that he was exactly my MOS. But he was like fit. He was pretty cool, pretty chill to talk to. Now when it comes to getting stuff done, he's like one of those, you need to do what you need to do and don't have me, you know, keep telling you the same shit. But everybody respected him a little bit more because of his approach wasn't like trying to treat us like shit because we weren't like, you know, combat arms. The female, she kind of like was in and out because she was kind of like still in training and then she was going to school at the same time. She was pretty cool like once you got to know her, but like when she first met us, she was like trying to act like she was like Billy Badass and all that shit. Of course, you know, the drill sergeants yell, they punish you meaning like you do push-ups, some type of physical training until you know, get in your head what they're trying to teach you. Which, I mean, I didn't mind, but my platoon used to do a lot of stupid shit, and it used to be like we used to get woken up out of our sleep because somebody did something stupid, and then we have to fucking do fucking push-ups or fucking clean at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I feel like I was too old for that shit, so it just depends. Like, if your drill sergeants feel like fucking with you, they're gonna fuck with you. Yeah. So this is a question for the women. Do women receive military haircuts too? No. When you go to basic training, you don't have to cut your hair off. Some people do just so they don't have to worry about having to do their hair. But the Army is just not going to be like, oh, you're in basic training now, let me cut your fucking hair off. No. You just have to make sure that you can groom your hair to the standards of the Army. Which means putting it in a bun, you know, having your hair braided or what have you. But they don't cut your hair off like G.I. Jane style just because you're in basic training. No, they don't do that. Can a trainee choose to serve overseas? No. So when you go to AIT, where you get stationed depends on the needs of the Army. So if they need a 42 Alpha, which is my job, human resource specialist in Korea, and they know you're getting ready to graduate AIT, they'll send out a list from somewhere saying that we need this MOS, this rank, at this place. And that's where you end up going. You don't get to pick where your first duty station is. You don't. But so another question you should ask your recruiter is when you're going to be shipped off. So I know for me, I was in the DEP program, so the delayed entry program. So I enlisted, signed my contract, picked my job. And then I had to wait a couple months before I actually shipped off. So that's a big question to ask, so you know how to get your finances and all that stuff situated. Another question you should ask, so if you are married or planning on getting married, I would advise you to do it before you sign your contract. Because once you get into basic training AIT, most likely the people that are there aren't going to help you do you know, the financial stuff you need to get paid and get your spouse, you know, the stuff they need. So if you're going to get married, I'm not saying everybody get married before you get into the military. That's not what I'm saying. But if you're going to get married, try to do it before you get in and before you sign your contract. So when your contract is signed, it's listed that you have dependents already. So you can already get that whole paperwork situation out of the way. Because when you're getting basic in AIT, you're going to be paid whatever rate you are. So if you have a dependent, you're going to be paid with dependent rate. You're going to get your, you should get your BAH and BAS, which is the basic allowance for housing, basic allowance for sustenance, which is like food, because you have a spouse. If they're like in a civilian, if you're married to a service member, like the whole process is completely different. But try to do all that stuff before you get in. Hey, what you doing, man? What you doing? What's another one? Do you get paid while you're in training? Yes. You can't be somewhere doing something for the government and they just not pay you. Just make sure that you know how much you're supposed to get paid. So while you're in basic training, you're more likely not going to have access to a computer. Stop. You're most likely not going to have access to a computer to check your LES every time it comes out. Your LES is your leave earning statement that you get that shows you how much you get paid. You're most likely not going to be able to check that while you're in basic training. AIT, you have more access to computers. I know I did because most of our jobs were on computers. But make sure you know how much you're supposed to get paid. So you know your base pay, you know how much you're supposed to get for BAH, how much you're supposed to get for BAS. Because you're new, you're not really going to know how to read it, and more than likely nobody's going to tell you if you're getting paid wrong. So if they overpay you for something, the government's going to take it. If they underpay you, they're not going to say anything unless you say something. So just keep in mind that. And just make sure if you go, just make sure you have like your bills set up on auto. If you're a single person, you still need to pay bills. Make sure you have auto payments because stuff does lapse while you're in basic training. And it can feel like you're in there for forever, but your bills are going to keep coming if you have any that are still outstanding. What's another question you should ask your recruiter? How often does a job come up? So me, I wanted a medical job when I first got in, but the job I wanted didn't come up for months. So I was just like, you know what, I'm sitting here just wasting time. Let me just go ahead and, you know, get in. Ask them how often a job comes up. If they don't know the answer, they can call a MEP station and they can figure out, you know, this month is projected to have this amount of people going into this MOS. They can project that stuff. Just don't tell them, oh, well, you know, you want a medical job and it's not coming up, because they will tell you anything to get you to sign that bottom line. They will tell you anything. Like me, I came in with a degree. I was told something completely different. I wanted to be an officer, and I was told as soon as I get in, I can go, you know, go to my duty station and then I can drop a packet to become an officer. That's not how it works. Just make sure you ask questions. If you want to be an officer, you don't meet the qualifications or whatever, ask them what you have to do to become one. Ask all this before you get in, because if it's something that you don't want to do, do not sign that line, because once you're signed and that contract is valid, you're stuck. You're in a government contract and you cannot get out. What's something else you should ask? Something else I would probably ask is, how often can you change your MOS? So people think when you pick a MOS, you know, you have to stay there the entire time you're in the military. Like if I want to retire out right now and I wanted to change my MOS, I could. But sometimes they don't tell you that's an option. Ask those type of questions. And it also depends on if your MOS is currently over strength or under strength. If you're gonna pick a MOS that's under strength, your likelihood of you being able to switch your MOS is not likely, because you're already in a job that a lot of people don't want to do. Let's say your job is at 15%. You want to go to a job that's at 70%. More than likely the Army's not going to let you do it, because guess what? They need you in that job because they already don't have enough people. So you need to ask that type of question. Oh, what's the strength for my job? Especially if it's a job that you don't want to do, because more than likely you're not going to be able to switch. You're going to be stuck and you're going to be miserable. So this is all I have for what to ask your recruiter. It's probably something that I missed. If it is, I'll try to put it in the description box as I'll put the question and not answer it. Or if you have any other questions about the joining process or anything like that, you can ask me. I am not a recruiter, but I do know a little bit more than most people, because I do deal with like the admin stuff. Most people's paperwork I've at least seen, or I know a little bit more about certain things than other people because of my job. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and please like, comment any suggestions or any questions you have, and subscribe. So this is going to be like a series of videos, and I'm going to try to do them once a week, a military related video, along with any other stuff that I put up on my channel. So just let me know. And AJ is out, and little legend, but he wants to play right now. Hey.